Hello, hello, and welcome to another podcast episode of Overpowering Emotions, where I talk all things big emotion, emotion regulation, and that's specifically what we're talking about today. The most essential skills for success and contentment really is emotion regulation. So, teaching emotion regulation, I mean, it's not just about managing emotions. It's building that resilience. It's allowing them to achieve their full potential, right? Really, that's where we want our kids to get. So, emotion regulation, it's not an innate skill that we're born with. It really is learned, mostly through observation and practice. It's not something that we sit, right, and learn in a classroom or anything like that. So, I'm going to talk about ways that we can strengthen, and it starts with us because kids watch from us and they get a lot of messages about how to regulate emotions through us. But I'm also going to touch on teaching it effectively to kids as well. And this is going to be, I'm going to kind of build on things that I've already talked about in terms of emotional intelligence. A few weeks ago, we're going to be building on that. But just to start with, making sure we're going back to basics. Emotion regulation, it's just our ability to manage and respond to our emotions in healthy, adaptive ways. It's not about keeping calm, right? That's not what it's about. It's not about suppressing feelings. It's about being able to face them, lean into them, understand them, be comfortable with them, process them, and express them, right? If we're just trying to breathe and push them away, they're never actually learning how to manage those emotions. We know that kids with strong emotion regulation skills, that's linked to better mental health, higher academic achievement, stronger relationships, just greater life satisfaction, all the things that we want to have for our kids. So for kids, the ability to regulate emotions, it's really foundational for their success in everything, right? School, socially, beyond. It helps them navigate the world, all of those challenges. It helps them handle disappointments and frustration and recover from setbacks and learn from their mistakes. And as they grow, those skills really become critical in their personal and professional lives because it's influencing everything from their decision making to conflict management, those interpersonal skills. Now, like I said, it's not a skill that we're born with. It's something we all have to learn and not just learn at once. We got to keep practicing and refining it over time. All of us do. Now, I know I talk a lot about modeling, but it really does start with us. Kids are like sponges, especially the young ones, right? They're just absorbing and mimicking adult behaviors all the time. And so if we get angry and yell at our kids, guess what? We're showing them that's what we do with our anger. So it's especially true when it comes to managing emotions, right? If we're just consistently modeling healthy, controlled responses, right? That where we keep our prefrontal cortex online and we're actually rationally being able to manage them, any stressful situation without, flipping our lids and losing our minds, children are going to learn that too, right? They're going to learn that, hey, it's possible to manage emotions, and they're going to be watching you how you do that. But if you're always reacting with anger, you're yelling, you're frustrated, slamming doors or avoiding things, guess what they're going to learn? They're going to adopt those patterns themselves. That's what we do with emotions. That's what they're learning. So the most powerful way truly is to regulate our own emotions, to demonstrate it in our own behavior, right? Monkey see, monkey do. A lot of parents, though, say, do as I say, not as I do, right? That's just not how it works. So imagine, how do you respond? It's been a really long day, right? And now there's a kiddo throwing a tantrum, maybe in a classroom, right? Because they don't want to go home. Maybe it's at home. It's your own kid because they don't want to do homework. You might feel your own frustration rising. You have different options here. You can react impulsively, raising your voice, demanding that they just do your homework. I'm sick and tired of having this fight, right? Just do what I said. Okay, that's one response, certainly. You can say, that's it. I'm going, no more screens. We can punish. That's another option, sure. Or you can check in with yourself. See, how am I doing? Can I stay calm right now? Right? You might not be feeling calm in your body, and that's okay, but can you, talk in a level, calm, quiet voice? Or do you need to take a break? Right? And that's okay too. If you cannot go into the situation without your blood boiling, then it's okay to take a break. Go for a walk, have some water, do some jumping jacks, whatever it is that you need to do so you can come back level-headed. But verbally say that out loud. I'm feeling really frustrated right now. I just want to, get my Hulk brain under control and I'm going to come back. Because you need to be able to come back and validate their experience using an adjective. Man, homework sucks, doesn't it? But we're not letting them off the hook. And that's where oftentimes, we sort of lose the plot a little bit. We'll say, "Oh, that sucks. Why don't we take a break and come back to it?" Well, now we've just reinforced that. We're always going to come back to it. If you need a break, go and take it. But we're not going to give our kids a break, right? They're going to get that break maybe while we're taking our break, but we're going to come back. We're going to really validate. But then we're going to put it back in their lap. Ask an open-ended question just to get them thinking, get things back on track. Oh man, this is tough. I hear you. Homework sucks, doesn't it? Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I love scaling questions, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how sucky is this homework today, right? 10 being the suckiest homework in the universe. 1 being, oh, it's really not that sucky, right? Okay, an 8. So what makes it an 8 and not a 10? There's something in there that's not totally sucky. Or even if they say 10,000, right? Scale of 1 to 10. 10,000, it's the worst thing ever. Oh, wow. No wonder you're frustrated. Okay, how could we bump this down to a 6 or a 7? Or maybe a 9, even just a little bit. What could we do? Okay, cool. Let's try that. Let's see if that pulls it down a little bit. Now we're experimenting, right? We're making a prediction and experimenting. We're getting curious, which keeps our prefrontal cortex online. Okay, so what do we need to do, or what do you need to do to get this done so we can go and play a game? Or what do you need to do, right? So we're going to bump it down to be successful. How long do you think you can work so we can go play a game? We're going to ask those open-ended questions. I don't know. I don't want to do it. Oh man, you don't want to do it. Okay. Well, you let me know when you're ready. I'm going to wait here and you let me know when you're ready. Okay, and I'm ready to go play that game or watch the video or whatever it is afterwards when you're done. Okay, so that's the kind of thing we're going to do. In this moment, you're not going to try to tell them to calm down or to do anything different. We are validating and asking open-ended questions how they need to get it done. But we're managing our own emotions as well, right? And as we're managing our own emotions, even if we're frustrated, like, I'm burning dinner, just get your homework done, right? We're not going to do that. We're showing our kids we can respond, even if I'm feeling frustrated, we can respond in a rational tone of voice, right? We can still have a decent a civil conversation. So this is the essence of modeling that emotion regulation. Now, I'm never going to start working on a kid's regulation if the adult can't master it themselves. Never, ever am I going to work with a kiddo if I'm just sending them home to be yelled at all the time, right? A lot of us are raised in environments where that emotion regulation just wasn't taught or wasn't modeled effectively. So might have, we often do what we were done, what happened with us, right? Maybe we were reprimanded, maybe we're dismissed, maybe we were yelled at, maybe, we just were told, go to your room, right? Whenever we expressed emotions, whenever we had a tantrum or got upset. And if that sounds familiar, I mean, you're not alone. It's never too late to learn this for yourself. And that's why we got to start too. So the first step is really awareness. So we need to identify the situations, the behaviors, the words, whatever triggers strong emotions for you. Understanding your triggers is going to help you anticipate and prepare for any of those emotional reactions. So you can definitely do this with kids too, right? Working through these skills together, that can be a great way to motivate kids, right? That way they don't think that they're always the ones who are, there's something wrong with them and who always has to do all this extra stuff, right? We're going to do it together. So when you feel that surge of emotion, I want you to practice pausing before responding. That's all you need to do for right now. And so, a great way to do this, I'm not trying to get you to calm down. I'm not trying to change your experience. That's not it. But I just want you to notice what is going on in your body. Drop into your body. Notice what emotion has come up and where do you feel that emotion. We're getting curious. To raise our awareness, we got to be curious. right? And when we're curious, we're keeping that prefrontal cortex online. It's that prefrontal cortex, its job is to regulate our emotions. So if it is online, it is able to manage those emotional reactions. It's when we're not getting curious, we let our emotions get the better of us, the prefrontal cortex, the Wi Fi goes offline, and now we're reactive. So we want to keep it online, and we can do that by dropping into our body, noticing where those emotions are coming up. And labeling that emotion is really important too, because when we can label, I'm feeling very agitated right now. Right. And the more specific we can get, the better it is because it helps our brain process that emotion more effectively. Remember, if we can name it, we can tame it. Saying I'm feeling overwhelmed out loud or in your mind, but out loud is really good because it just reduces the intensity. Already, we're taking the edge off of that emotion and it's giving you a sense of control. And we're modeling it too for our kids. And where you feel it in your body and describe how it feels. Right. So I'm feeling very agitated. I can feel it in my chest. There's a burning, like a pressure and a burning. Then I like being able to drop into your feet because again, you have control of your awareness and your response. And I like to drop into your feet just to see if you can feel your feet supported by the ground. And maybe even imagine your feet sort of growing roots or spreading out. That really helps ground you, right? It just takes 5 to 10 seconds. It really isn't a long process. I'm not saying go away for an hour and your kid gets an hour on the screen. It's just a really quick process. It gives you a little bit of space so that you can choose a more measured response. And that's what we need to do when we're regulating our emotions so that we can co-regulate our kids. So you might need to take a bit of a walk. You might need to do something physical. Using up some of that emotional energy is really helpful when we're getting upset. We've got all of this adrenaline and cortisol and all of these things, so it can be helpful. Now, those are really helpful reactive strategies in the moment. I guess proactive because before we respond, but it's reactive in that the emotion has been triggered. So it's really helpful to work on things proactively before situations come up, just to boost your feel-good hormones in the first place, right? Just to lower your overall stress levels in the first place, i.e., regular sleep, regularly moving your body, eating healthfully, drinking lots of water. I mean, those are just basic pillars of well-being, right? And so those things are going to help you with emotion regulation because you're already going to lower your stress levels in the first place. Practicing mindfulness. If we want to add another layer of pillars of well-being, the next one would be mindfulness or, creativity, those types of things. So that's kind of proactively in the moment. We're going to pause, we're going to drop into the body, identify how we're feeling. Now, after the emotional incident, it's also helpful to reflect. Don't just carry on. Use that moment to your advantage. Reflect on what happened. Reflect on how you felt, how you reacted. Ask yourself what went well? What could I do differently next time? That reflection is really key to build your awareness and build better responses over time. And then you can start thinking, okay, what can I do differently next time? What's one little tweak that I can do? That's really being intentional is really going to help rewire your brain around this and make it stronger faster. So once you've started doing this and working on your own emotional regulation and your responses to those triggers, you can now more effectively teach those skills to kids. Hopefully you're modeling it, which is another reason why we're practicing it, right? But now we can teach it. It's not telling kids to calm down. What happens if someone tells you to calm down? I bet you don't like it. You don't tell me to calm down, right? We really need to go through this process the same way, what we're doing now, so that they can have experience managing their emotions independently as well. So if you've really had the chance to model this, right, it's not just for your own benefit. I mean, it certainly is that you're practicing it, but you're modeling this as well in those stressful situations. And so now, they know it's possible to stay composed even when things don't go as planned. Hopefully, you've listened to earlier episodes on emotional intelligence, specifically, teaching kids that rich emotional vocabulary, just kind of what I was talking about, so that they can accurately describe their feelings. Having visuals around there, it could be an emotion card or an emotion wheel. I'll actually put some in the show notes for you so you can check those out if you'd like. But then you can really, they can start identifying how they're feeling. Now, I would practice this lots. Don't wait for a frustrating, situation to come up. Again, we're going to proactively practice this. Maybe you're giving them a challenge. We're going to practice. I'm going to give you one of those challenges from last week, if you didn't hear from last week. And you're going to tap in. How are you feeling now before? How are you feeling during? How are you feeling after? Right? We're going to practice that emotional check-in as we're doing those challenges, or maybe before we're going to brush our teeth, or before we're going to have dinner, right? We're going to just do that throughout the day. Just helps them connect that internal experience with their language. And then they can identify where they feel that in the body and describe it. Again, they're learning to keep their prefrontal cortex online intentionally, purposely in the moment, and then they can figure out what to do next. And so the more practice they have, it's easier when emotions do come up. So again, lots and lots of practice. Give them lots of tasks to activate that frustration button. Right? We need to activate frustration, disappointment, whatever comes up, even boredom, to generate change in the brain. Kids can do all of this when we're just talking. They can say, I'm feeling mellow. I'm feeling that in my body, right? In my hands. Like they'll just, whatever. They can talk about it, but it's actually practicing building the skill when emotions are activated, ideally in a structured, proactive sort of way. Let them experiment with what works. If they need to have a physical movement, right, just to shake off some of that energy, go for it. I love music. Maybe it's a little dance, maybe upbeat music. We can do some mood induction, changing our mood around. But then we need to get thinking. Now, I'm going to focus again. There's always stuff to come in other episodes, like on problem solving, for example. But right now, we just want to be a guide, asking those open ended questions. What needs to happen next? What could make this better? We're going to recognize, when kids are using those emotion regulation skills, even in small ways. We're always tracking their progress, visually tracking their progress, right? It could be an emotion regulation jar where they get a gem every time they're using their strategy, right? Dropping into the body, identifying how they're feeling, responding in helpful ways. Maybe it's a chart where they're earning points, every time they're managing that emotional brain, keeping it online, using curiosity. We want them to see their progress, even the teens. Now, of course, same thing with them. After a strong emotional moment has passed, we want to guide those kids in reflecting on what happened. So ask them, what were they feeling? What helped them manage? What could they try next time? What would help support them next time? That reflection, just like we do it for ourselves, that reflection is going to build their self-awareness and their emotional intelligence as well. This is really the foundation. It takes time and practice. We can't really go on and work on other skills until we've already just learned to create that pause to keep the prefrontal cortex online. Because if they've already responded and they've already had a meltdown, it's too late. We're creating that pause, keeping that prefrontal cortex online. When they can do that, we can build on that. So just be patient, right? It does take some learning. We have to allow any emotion to come up. That's really important too, right? No matter what the emotion is, we have to validate that, of course, you feel that way. Don't tell them it's not a big deal. It is for them, right? So we need to normalize all emotional experiences so kids feel that it's okay to have them in the first place. And if they feel like it's okay to have them and they're still going to be loved and supported, that's going to help them manage them better, way better. Okay, so all emotions are accepted. No one is ever feeling shamed for feeling upset or overwhelmed, no matter how big or small you think the situation is. We're going to establish norms for respectful expression and for respectful listening as well. And we're consistently guiding them through those emotional experiences with that validation, empathy, and support. From there, we're going to engage in proactive activities to help with that emotion regulation, right? So again, just like with you, those pillars of health, we want to make sure we're focusing on that. Maybe making sure you start and end the day with a brief mindful activity so kids can really learn how to center themselves and stay in the present moment, right? But then all those other things, the sleep, the exercise, nutrition, hydration, right? Pillars of health are always important. This emotion regulation, it just really takes time. It's something that we need to constantly be working on every single day. right? So it's a valuable skill. I know that it's tough to find time in our busy lives, but it's also tough when these big emotions are always taking over, right? So we really need to make sure that we're being intentional in teaching kids. So I will leave it there for today. Thank you for joining me. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to model or teach this emotion regulation. It really is a gift. So keep practicing those skills, help those kiddos be bold and courageous, and I will see you next time.